So today I'm just going to go through like the whole kind of story of how it's gone in my time racing in France, for in case any of you might be interested in doing something similar yourself, and what kinds of how you kind of find it and what kinds of difficulties you might encounter, and also just if you can hear my story, if you might sort of help me with a few of the problems I've had. So, because ultimately I'd say, the kind of issues I've had there mostly are related around not having a spare bike and not and being a foreigner. So I got there took the boat there for the 1st of March, and did my first race the day after, which was really quite a lot to get used to all at once, racing on the other side of the road. And so I missed that split in the peloton that day, so I was actually the first finisher out of the side of the peloton I was at, but it's just no one really cares. So anyway, I'll try and start fast forwarding this bit. So then the next weekend of racing, I felt much more confident in the bunch, having had that one and it positioning much better, having had that one race experience in an Elite National called Souvenir Loison-Bobet. But then about 3 hours into that 3.5 hour race, I had a problem with my brakes, and I just realised basically my front brake wasn't working at all, and every time I'd kind of have to stop, I'd just skid. So luckily I didn't crash, but I realised it was going to be quite dangerous to continue doing laps of the finishing circuit like that, so I pulled out of the race. And because it was a Saturday and later in the day and French bike shops were all closed on Sunday, there was no way I could get it fixed in time for the Sunday. So I didn't get to miss. That's the first race I missed because of an issue with my bike. So then there's a few more races, and then my first race I had where I crashed. It was just after the flag drops. There's a big crash, Tour de Pays-les-Navas, at the end of March or early April. Big crash just after the flag drops, because all the director sportifs singing, everyone's got to be at the front, everyone's got to be at the front. And of course, not the whole 150 whatever man peloton can be in the same place at the same time. So big crash, loads of people down. I was actually one of the very last people to come down, although one person did come over the top of me. I think he actually won the stage in the end. So I was going down at pretty low speed, but still I came down and I saw all the people who'd been badly hurt, and it's just really not nice to see. And I'd never crashed in a race before, so that really put me off. So I pulled out of the race, and that was a regret on my behalf. I wish I'd just carried on there. That's put my hands up to lack of experience, and perhaps just being a bit soft there, and I should have carried on, because I was really unharmed. So then the next race I did, someone comes into the back of me again. Their back wheel gets caught between my back wheel and my rear chainstay, and so I was so determined not to let that affect my race, and not to kind of go through all the same kind of emotions of thinking I'd pull out as I did in Les Navas. I just didn't even look back. I could hear the kid behind me crashed. He went down, but I didn't even look back. I unclipped, but then this at the back, forcing me to go to the back of the peloton because of the reduction in the speed at the bottom of this climb. But then I just clipped back in and just chased back on without even looking back, and it's a hard chase back on, but because the speed was a bit slower up the climb, I had to do a big effort, but I got back on, and I did the last 80 kilometres of the race like that, and then finished in the bunch, which was a bunch sprint up, or kind of a 30-second kicker. But so then just when I finished the race, I then inspected my bike and I realised there's a massive crack in the frame. So then I only don't have a spare bike, so here goes, tried to get it into carbon repair, and it thought it was going to be 2 weeks, and then it was 3 weeks, so 3 weeks of racing missed. Then after that, so I went to take, during that period I went to take my mid-season break. I took what I thought was going to be 4 days off, and on, I think it was one of the last days of that, I went to Mont Saint-Michel, which was really highly recommend. Really, really amazing place. Insert some videos and photos of that for you to see, just here and here. And yeah, but then I managed from some moules frites j'ai acheté là. J'ai une intoxication alimentaire. So because of that food poisoning, I then had to miss what would have been hopefully my first race back with the new bike. So that's now 5 races I've missed because of not having a bike. And you think in the context of a 3-month, just under 3-month trip, it's quite a lot of racing to have missed. So then carry on a bit more, and then before the next race my saddle cracks. So I had to just, day before race, I was like, God, just what is going on? This is not fair. So I knew I couldn't afford to miss another race, so I just bought a new saddle there and then at the shop. A saddle I really wasn't quite that comfortable with. I was going for an ISM for the first time using a normal saddle, like a more conventional type saddle, except when I say conventional type saddle, it was actually the new 3D printed Physique Vento. So I was feeling so unhyped for this next race because I just thought, I just couldn't throw it. Uncomfortable. So actually the next race was just a 1 day, the very next day was a Wednesday 1-day race. It's just coming off my break as well. I forgot my Garmin, I forgot my aero socks, I forgot everything, but I just went into it and actually, I didn't get a result, but I was kind of quite active and in a few breakaways I got brought back, and so that was just kind of good to get back into racing and get a bit of a feel for it, kind of, even though no result, just kind of some sort of confidence back and excitement to race again. And so I was literally recording off my Garmin watch for that race because I'd forgotten my Garmin, but just it didn't feel that great because I only had 2 short easy rides. It's my full week off, and food poisoning, my stomach was still quite bad. I was being sick as I was going along. So then that weekend after that we have Le Tour des Mauges, which is kind of my least unsuccessful stage race, so a race that I was there. So that first stage, it was pissing down with rain, but which I normally would really not like, but I just felt amazing. It just felt like, if I wanted to move up in the bunch, I could just give it 500 watts for a minute or so down the side, and I just breathing through my nose. And I think feeling so good is kind of, in some ways it didn't, it had its disadvantages because I went in a breakaway from the start. There's one breakaway up the road. There's a break with like 2 or 3 people who were kind of pulling the turn, so I just attacked them, which crossed another group. So then eventually I've been in a breakaway from like 20 odd minutes into the stage, and then we're about an hour and nearly, maybe was it, 2 hours in, and something like 90 kilometers still to go, 80 kilometers still to go, and we went over one of the KOM points. I went in third, not making that max effort, but just making sure no one, so not trying for the KOM points, but just making sure no one could get a gap and pull away. And then sort of I got to the top there and I could see everyone around me look a lot more gassed, and back to the same, feeling really good. I just pushed on down the descent and found I got a gap and just tucked in an aero, and I just thought it just seemed like the right moment. And I think, yes, you want to consider how many kilometers to go for when you attack, but also it's just about finding the right moment when you can get that gap. And sometimes you get the right moment and it's a bit further out than you want, but I just committed to it, and it's kind of quite an pretty amazing experience, that being off the front with the crowds, and even I've noticed almost no photographers up because it was just such a horrible day, but still amazing crowds, like lining the little climbs and the towns, and really amazing atmosphere with like big smoke flames. And, so I ended up being solo for 55 kilometers, so I didn't quite make it to the finish, but somewhere along the way there was a sign for some parking, and going through a little town, and the lead motorbike and the car was too far ahead for me to see, so I took a right-hand turn where I should have carried straight on, and that cost me about 20 seconds or something. And I think that I don't know, and you can never know, but I think that could have made a difference, because when I first got caught, I was caught by a break of 4 riders, and I was going around. I was on a stretch of road, and I could just see that they may be, I don't know, 10 seconds behind. And when I knew there was only 20 kilometres to go, I just eased up and let them catch back onto me, and thought, maybe, this is not too terrible of a situation. I stick with this group and could be well placed in GC then. Maybe try attack them again on the finishing circuit. But as it happened, they caught me up once we worked very well. So ended up in a bunch sprint, but at least I got the sprinter's jersey and the Combativité award. So then the week after that, so this is back to things not going as well. My seat post cracked, and so I'm on this Canyon Air road, and I think I had to get the saddle. Due to you having used an ISM, I had to get the very high height on the rails, and having a lower saddle height as well. I had to go to carbon repair to get it cut down, and it didn't basically work with the shape of the saddle, so it meant the seat post cracked. And the most important race in the year coming up was a 4-day stage race, Essor Breton. I just thought I need to get a bike for this, and I need to get a bike in time, and I thought the only kind of optional way I could see of getting a bike was getting this bike that's 58 centimetres from a local bike shop, which is actually slightly smaller size in my Canyon, which is an XL, which comes out more like 59-60. And I didn't have the money to pay for it, but I just paid all the money I had, which is the first of 4 instalments of €845 or something, just for the frame set. Transferred all the other parts, and then I just, the whole time I was there, I was getting constant criticism for my bike fit. You're not slammed enough, your saddle's too low, your saddle's not far back enough, and I just got really fed up with it, and I just gave into it. And I thought, with the new bike as well, kind of struggling to get that to fit, I just said, okay, I'll go to the French bike fitter, and long story short, he raised my saddle 3 centimetres, and I just felt awful. Just couldn't reach the pedals, and all kinds of pain everywhere. So I just progressively lowering the saddle, and I tried for a day or two like that, but I knew it's just never really going to work, and really uncomfortable. So by the end of the race, I'd loaded about 2 of those 3 centimetres, and then right on the day of the race, I put my cleats back to how I'd had them before. But then, so also after my ride, the day before the race, I went to go and get the stem. They had a new stem for me that was 140 rather than 130, so closer to the reach I had on the old bike. And at the same time, when the mechanics took it apart and put it back together again, they'd forgotten that my brakes had before been the sort of UK style round with the front brake on the right hand side, and so they arranged it with the front brake on the left. So being after my ride, I hadn't realised that until the start line of the race, Essor Breton, and so we did that. When it came to the race, then I realised that, and you can tell I've said this to a few people now, so I'm kind of getting tired of reliving it in my head. But I got to the first. Well, first of all, it's worth mentioning there's a massive crash straight after the flag dropped, and luckily I was I wasn't the right side of it, but I managed to avoid it. So then it felt like it was a bit safer. We were kind of just drawn out the pace line for a while, then as the groups come back together. But then 30k into the race, going down the descent, twisty descent and steep off camber, and I went to pull what I thought was my front brake, and it was actually my back, so I skidded out, and my shoe took all the impact. We'll insert some pictures. I'm trying to kind of tape it up there, but it's the carbon is actually totally smashed. Yeah, so feeling very uncomfortable still with the seat too high and the brakes the wrong way around. And I hadn't realised at the time there's actually a massive slit in my back tyre, like it'd gone through to the threads. And so yeah, one shoe intact, and I was chasing behind the team car for a while and the team instruction, and it's just realising I had no grip around any of the corners, and it just didn't feel remotely safe to me. And so I just thought, you know, maybe I can get back to the team car like this, but you know, if I can't, it's the peloton like this, but even if I can, like what's to be gained? Because I'm just it's going to be such a high risk of either crashing on the way there, or if I get back to the peloton, I'm only going to be a danger to myself and others, and the last thing I'd want would be to cause someone else to crash. So yeah, pulled out of that race, and the team was furious for me and with me, and they thought neglect made nothing of my wounds, and so I kind of told me it was nothing. I didn't pay much attention to that, and then it turns out when I went to the doctors, I showed a picture of my mum to the wounds, and just on WhatsApp, and she said that actually that looks really bad and you should go to the doctors, and it turned out that it was infected. So then I was on antibiotics, and still no shoes arrived, and so I couldn't do the next race, and because of that the team told me to leave. So yeah, that's where I'm at now, and so yeah, it's made me feel really awful, just really awful. And you know, even though like logically when I look back on it, I can see, you know, it's for the most part like that's no reflection on my ability as a cyclist. And if I'd gone to France with a spare bike, I would have been alright. And you know, in the background of having to sort out all this other kind of stuff, and how to figure out how to use the phone there, and get the Wi-Fi sorted, my bank account sorted, and get the plumber to come, and you know, all this kind of stuff, which is just extremely difficult when at first I could barely even speak French. So yeah, if I could have gone there with a spare bike, though, like I say, that just would have made all the difference, because I don't think that frustration that it mounted with the team was around me having missed so many races due to my bike. And yeah, so if I found a new team that I'm hoping to go back to, but as of yet, you know, there's some kind of vague promises that they might have a spare bike, and hopefully they do, but I'm not confident in that, and that they would be right size. So you know, yeah, if anyone can support me, try and find a new bike, and or a TT bike, because I think I could really be a TT specialist, and if I want to win GC and or win some TT stages in the calendar with the new team, I'm going to need a TT bike. So yeah, if anyone's interested in my story and they want to know more, or just wants to follow along with how the rest of my racing goes, or if you want to support or sponsor me, yeah, just please get in touch.